Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday. I nearly missed the sunrise this morning because I got sidetracked. Let me see if I can get it through that acacia tree. What a lovely view. I'm looking through the acacia tree instead of having the phone up on the fence post because I've been working on the tomatoes this morning. And that sunrise just amazing. But one of the things I wanted to mention this morning is sitting out here thinking and working is that so often in our lives, especially those of us who have far too many things going and get overwhelmed, isn't that most of us? When we get overwhelmed, we start thinking to ourselves that we can't do things that we want to get done. And a lot of times that goes to gardening. I've had those conversations with people. But see all this? And there's actually a couple of cushaws over there that I probably need to harvest this morning and take to the office and cook. At least one of them, the one that's starting to turn the most orange there. Take that and cook it for the office this morning. But the garden can get away from you if you're not careful. So I've been sitting out here working on my tomatoes. And one of the overwhelming things for me is that I only have a few hours a day. About half an hour in the morning and an hour or so in the evening, except I didn't come out here the last 2 days because the forecast 3 weeks ago was wrong. The triple digits have come back. It was 101 when it got dark last night, and I just was not up to coming out here. Do you see that little jungle over there on this? Let me see, where's my finger? On this side of the tomato bed. This side did look like that. And it wasn't putting on very many tomatoes. I had blossoms everywhere, but it wasn't setting any tomatoes. But once we got this trellis up last week and out and got it strung up properly, and I'm still working on that, getting these all strung up properly, but that will come with the working on the plants, getting them trimmed properly, because as you can see, I do not have a single vine on my tomatoes. It's because they had completely gotten away from me. So now I'm coming out here in the mornings and spending a little bit of time before work. Now, since the sun is coming up a little bit later, but it is light enough to see, I've been coming out here and just working a little bit every day. Just a few minutes every day on pruning these tomatoes. This one I've done this. Where is it? All of this right here. That's one plant. So I've been working on getting that one pruned. This is another plant over here next to the edge of the trellis, the new trellis. I've worked a little bit on that one, but not as much as I have that bigger one. But there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more plants in there that I haven't even started on yet. Once I get that done, this is going to be absolutely gorgeous. And they're all indeterminates. I'm going to train the one here on this end to go up the springs of that box spring, and the two sun golds that are over at the other end here against that box spring. I'm going to train them up that box springs. And then hopefully we'll have enough time that they will then drape down over the edge to the outside. And then all of these here in the middle, is there 4 more plants there in the middle, I believe? Have them go up and over the outside edges, over the 2x4s at the top, so that we can have tomatoes as long as the good Lord will allow. But I've also got to use some of the wood from the limbs that my friend brought over to build a teepee for the cantaloupes. I've got so much to do. It's so overwhelming. It's just me. But what I can, and there's all of the amaranth that needs to be harvested and dehydrated. But the key for me, let me see if I can get this squash leaf off of the sweet potatoes under there. See, the sweet potatoes are climbing out from under that squash. But then the squash is trying to keep up and go over the sweet potato. At least this sweet potato is far enough away from the squash. I really need to be harvesting some of those leaves. There's just so much. And I haven't been watering as much out here. So I need to come out here and trim back some of the leaves off the squash. And then that will help the sweet potato as well. Help it get more light. Like that leaf just popped right off. And that one is looking worse for wear. There we go. That got a little bit more space. More light to the sweet potato. But there's just so much. But don't get overwhelmed. Or when you do get overwhelmed, remind yourself. Just do a little bit at a time. I really should have moved. Right there. The vines for the spaghetti squash, because they're getting in the way of the sprayer watering all of those tomatoes. Well, the water will still be going into the ground at the base of that. Don't beat yourself up. Try to think how best to say this. There's only one you. And life will throw things at you. And throw more. And throw more. And just like, let's see here. All of this amaranth that came up in my walkway. Well, I typically wake up at 5 a.m. on the weekends as well as on the weekdays. So there's no birthday party or anything to prepare for this weekend. I will be getting up and harvesting amaranth. And those plants can go in the dehydrator. Because I didn't realize, I knew God had blessed me greatly with this lovely amaranth everywhere. It is awesome for salads. And a lot of times that's what my breakfast is. While I'm out here working in the garden, I just pick a few leaves of the amaranth. And then it's beautiful. I was watching You Can't Eat the Grass, and she is actually growing different colors of amaranth to add to bouquets. So I'm like, I think this morning I will pick a little bit of amaranth, maybe a little bit of the globe mallow, maybe a sprig of borage, all of these different things. And then I've got lavender and lantana over in the other garden bed by the house. And I'll take those to work for a bouquet for my desk. And it's actually very nice to eat. Not really sweet. Just a very slight peppery bite to it. Not a lot, just a very little bit. And sit out here a little bit longer. Even though I should be inside getting ready for work, I sit out here and let the plants get a little bit of water before I go in, because they need the water, and I enjoy the space out here. The wind blew these over. These were the pieces of fence I was using to guard the sweet potatoes from the birds before, and the wind blew them over. I'll lay them on this occasion. Now, when you're getting mulch from friends, sometimes it will have seeds in it that you don't quite recognize, you're unsure about. Like, I'm really not sure about this. I thought that this was from some, I'm blanking on it. Those little yellow berries that came in all this mulch. But now that it's getting bigger, it does not look like those plants. The ones that are relatives of tomatoes and potatoes, but they're toxic. I know which ones I'm talking about. I just can't put my finger on the name right this second. Oh, goodness. So much work to do. It's like the sprinkler is supposed to be spinning. This one is supposed to be spinning. But they're not. And this wild mustard is shading out this lavender, but not too badly. The lavender is still coming along. All of that squash. This is where I harvested all of that yellow squash the other day. Need to work on the leaves out here as well as on that cushaw. Just so much to do. But don't give in to the overwhelm. Just a few minutes a day on this tomato plant is what I have done in just 5 to 10 minutes a day for the last 5 days. That's all. Just 5 to 10 minutes a day. And there's so much more to do. But remember, just do a little bit. If you can only do 5 minutes, then do 5 minutes. If you can get in 15, that's even better. But 5 minutes will do. Me, I can come sit out here for just a little bit because I try to water for at least 15 minutes, 30 if time allows. And that keeps these plants growing. It keeps the promise of more food for Micah and me and my office mates, who just happen to be my mother, my sister, my nieces, and a few non-blood relatives whom we adopted because they came to work for us, and we are family. If you work for us, you are family. And that's just the way it is. And this beautiful mess has it began organized, but then I ran out of time to. It got ahead of me, and that happens with nature. It gets ahead of us. We just keep going. All of the stems and leaves that I'm pruning off of this tomato, I'm putting it on the ground under the tomato because it's not diseased. If it was diseased, I would put it elsewhere. But because it's not, I'm putting it down for mulch. And that reduces my work a little bit more as well. Just these little things. Okay, the sun is well over the horizon now. So, I'll need to go turn off the water and go get ready for the work day. But it's Thursday, only today and tomorrow, and then, as Micah says, home day again. She loves her home days. Everybody have a wonderful, bright, blessed Thursday. Be well.